Yo, what is up, guys? Welcome back to another forecast. In this forecast, we're going to be talking about another potential hurricane in the Gulf that could bring major impacts to the United States, even to some of the same places as what Helene did. So, definitely going to be watching for this, as well as we still have Isaac over here. Joyce is still here. Now, these both should curve off and not have any impacts to the U.S. Could see some impacts to the Bermuda due to Joyce. But besides that, not much. We also have another 70% chance in the Gulf for another storm to uh, become, just another storm. This one could directly impact parts like Bermuda and maybe somewhere up here on the coast, depending if it can turn in time. But we are really focusing right over here on this current storm over here that has roughly a 50% chance of forming. We're getting a better and better idea that this thing will become something, which we are going to get into that. But first, I want to talk about Hurricane Isaac. Hurricane Isaac is currently forecasted to really stay out to sea and just stay a storm for quite a while, actually, up until Thursday. It'll still be a storm, then it gets a little bit hazy. And we could really see this thing take a path either here up in Iceland or go through the little channel here. But if we get enough of a change, we could actually see some impacts into places over here like the UK. But thankfully, it'll just be a windstorm by then. It's not forecasted to be a hurricane, although it has had decent swath of hurricane force winds. Started out relatively small over here and got progressively wider. Tropical storm force winds is actually not that much bigger, so this isn't a huge storm, but definitely something to be concerned about. We got Tropical Storm Joyce. This storm is really going to be a slow-moving storm. This thing's already projected to go back out to sea. And not even close to Bermuda, but definitely could see something back here cause issues, maybe something like this, depending. Even if so, we could see maybe a Category 1 or a Category 2 at max. I don't think this next system of development down here should cause too much in the way of impacts, at least through here. Speaking of down there, though, we still have that 50% chance we need to watch out for. If it threads the needle between the Yucatan Peninsula and Cuba, we could definitely see some major impacts once again to the same areas, depending on where it goes. So we really got to pray that that doesn't happen. Here is over on the Eastern Pacific, not the Atlantic basin. We have a 30% chance for formation. This could turn into something. We've seen a lot of these storms become hurricanes but die out and sort of go up through here. We actually just had a hurricane, actually, that I think it was Hurricane John that impacted parts of Mexico and sort of helped Helene do what Helene did. So, not good by any means. And then here's just another path of models that I wanted to show you for the Hurricane Isaac. Hurricane Isaac is currently a 968 millibar pressure, which is relatively low for a hurricane that made it out this far and actually sort of formed out here in this general region. Generally, we don't see too many hurricanes do that, or at least maintain or keep strengthening, but we expect this storm to weaken out, but it all depends on what it does. After really about 24 hours, the models go haywire. Some are saying this could possibly be a windstorm for parts of Spain. Quite a few of the models are showing worst case scenario right now. It hits Great Britain as maybe a tropical storm, high end. And then there are some that have this thing just staying out or doing little loops and dying out over here. These are, by the way, these are computer model glitches. Don't trust these at all. This is not going to shoot across Greenland and Iceland and do all this crazy stuff, so that is false. Right now, we do still have some remnants of Helene. Helene still has a very, well, I wouldn't say very low pressure, but still is spinning enough to the point we are still seeing impacts up into Michigan and over Lake Erie. We're seeing a good amount of rainfall over the portions of South Ohio into northern Kentucky. This is going to continue throughout the rest of the day And the storm should start to move out and become really nothing big besides maybe another low pressure. Could actually see some redevelopment out here into maybe just a tropical depression, but that is far-fetched. Then we start to see another high pressure dominate over the northeast, which should hold for not very long. But then we start to see this next system. The GFS model has this thing forming and sort of threading the needle, maybe losing some strength to the Yucatan, but strengthening into a 979 into 978 millibar. And look exactly where this goes. Same spots of Florida. This would be more storm surge into Florida. Could see 3 to 5 feet, 5 to 8 feet. I don't think we'll see 20 feet. But definitely could see some impacts once again into Florida if this model does hold true. And then this has it just sort of dying out over Florida. It's not going to have the Fujiwara effect, so it shouldn't last. By the way, we did see the Fujiwara effect. It's where there is a low-level trough and then the hurricane, and it basically keeps the hurricane strength for a longer period of time, causing just more inland impacts, which could be like the major flooding we saw. We saw flooding all the way up into some parts of Ohio today, so definitely a real thing. It has it dying out, and then once again, sort of catching with this other spinning area of low pressure up here, possibly strengthening that, but no Fujiwara effect this time. And then that's as far as it goes out, 384 hours. Anything past, I'd say, here is far-fetched. So, let's look at some of the hurricane models for Isaac. These things, so this model shows it at dying out roughly at 980. So this thing's not going to impact very much, like we thought it was not gonna. Right now, it looks like basically nothing. It's really hard to see because satellite imagery is not awesome. But as you can see over here on this portion of the screen, you can start to see it come on screen. It's not that impressive of a storm, although it still is a Cat 2, so we got to keep that in mind. It still could be strong, causing some 85 knot winds. Gusts could be up to 95 to 100, so definitely if this stays on the track it is, it could be an issue. But anyway, this area right here is what we are most concerned about. Thankfully, it looks like there is a decent chance, at least, it goes from where it stands right now. It goes and runs through the Yucatan Peninsula. We will definitely possibly still see some reintensification, and where exactly that goes, we don't know yet. It could be anywhere roughly in this range. And at worst, right now, I'd say maximum that I think is possible with this would be a Category 2, maybe Category 3, depending on it, how much it gets to strengthen. But worst case scenario, obviously, it threads the needle again and shoots back into the same spot of Florida, which would not be a good thing. Thankfully, we don't have anything up here that is going to take this thing more on a path like that right now, but definitely could still see some possibilities of that. Overall, 6 to 10 day temperature probability outlook, we only have above average temperatures again. So if you live in portions of Arizona, Utah, Colorado, and New Mexico, you guys could definitely see a lot warmer and above average temperatures, especially in New Mexico and Arizona specifically. Las Vegas, you guys could see warmer temperatures really anywhere, but definitely could see really hot temperatures in those areas. 8 to 14 days, we see it possibly even being a little bit below average through portions near DC. This might be due to the next tropical system we get. And then we also see above average temperatures once again in the west with pretty dry out there. Now, we once again see above average precipitation 6 to 10 days out for Florida, Georgia, Alabama, and Mississippi, Louisiana, New Orleans. A lot of the same areas that have just been impacted with a lot of the flooding are possibly going to be seeing, once again, higher precipitation values than normal. So be on the lookout. And then we sort of have a drought going on in the plains over here. Actually, really over here in western Nebraska and western South Dakota. We have a decent area where they have been in a drought for a while, so we're starting to see the fire risk climb up in this region specifically. Um, and we're seeing a continuous drought down here in Florida, really, in this portion. So, still seeing a lot of drought issues, but thankfully the Ohio drought with some of the rain it's been getting, hopefully that should have helped with some of the drought issues in Ohio and near Pittsburgh area, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, should have helped some of that with that. 18 to 14 day, still seeing some higher than average precipitation values in the northeast and southeast, but dominating most of the U.S. will be a dry area, which is good for severe weather. That means we'll have not as much, and as well as just big time flooding events, but that does mean we will see a chance for uh, wildfires to spike back up again. So, gonna be another thing we have to focus. The National Weather Service does agree with this as they have an elevated risk today, critical risk Sunday, and a critical Monday. So once again, the same areas that I was just talking about over here in Nebraska and South Dakota with a critical fire risk, and we're seeing a lot of elevated fire risk all over. So definitely be on the lookout over the next couple of days for some of that. And then we have a day 3 outlook for some major fire issues in Nebraska. 70% chance we see possibly a wildfire spike out. But yeah. Currently, we can look one more time at what the storm is doing of remnants of a Helene. It's really just sort of becoming rain and mist at this point. It's starting to really weaken out before it'll shoot back east and possibly see something happen with that. We do see a couple of cells over there in northeastern Ohio that we can look at really quickly. Starting to fire up right over Cleveland. These storms could be bringing some heavy rainfall. They've already seen a decent amount of rainfall today. Maybe some high winds. We'll see. We'll check that out really quick. So it looks to just be maybe a wind and rain threat, but nothing too serious. We have scattered showers going on over here in Michigan and most of Ohio now. Thank you guys for watching. That's basically it. So, a couple things to keep your eye out on over the next couple of days. I will be making an updated video at some point if this does become something, and seeing what this over here does, if it will track a little bit like this or stay out to sea and just become another storm like Isaac was. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Make sure to like and subscribe. Peace out.